Thank you for joining us for our webinar today. Our topic is new resources for the fall of 2011. What we're going to cover today is the update goals, the specific website resources, and then how to connect to the program. Goals, I really like Stephen Covey's quote, begin with the end in mind. So these are the three things that we looked at as we developed new resources. First, we want to provide resources that support green education. That only makes sense. 2, support student learning with real-life activities. And thirdly is lowering operating costs. The resources really fall into two categories. They're either green education support or they're tools for student or staff engagement. And where we see the intersection of both the green education and student engagement, we find three things: lowering operating cost, greener buildings, and then real-life learning opportunities. Let's look more specifically at the green education support. We have EESOs, or Energy and Environmental Savings Opportunities, and this is where we identify specific ways within your facilities based on location, whether it's a classroom, a lab, a hallway, an office, so forth. What, why, and how can we save energy and the environment? Then we have Chalk Talk videos where we go into more specifics of how to calculate the savings or environmental impact. We call this differentiated learning, where we have potentially future energy engineers where they can learn in detail how to save energy or the environment. Then we have lesson plans based on age and category, and we'll look at that more specifically when we get to the website. Tools for student engagement, we also have lesson plans identified here because this is where we actually engage kids or students in activities, and these are also lined up with the Ohio 2010 standards. Then we have problem-based learning, where students learn in a group setting where they collaborate with each other, what they know, what they don't know, and then research solutions. And then finally we have PR. And this is where we look at 21st century strategies, including social networking and such, how to engage other students within the facilities. So this is just a quick snapshot of what's available on the website, and then we'll go over that in more detail in just a moment. Now let's spend some time looking at the resource itself. Our URL is greenappleproject.com. In the menu across the top, we have Home, About Us, Resources, our Student Showcase, My Account, and Login. Let's start with Login. If you haven't registered, this is where you create your account. The most important part is right here, our registration code. And that is something that you need to get from the Green Apple Project themselves. The username, email address, password, that's all chosen by yourself. The registration is unique to you and can only be used one time. And once you're in, then you have access to all the resources. And let's log in. We're going to log in as a teacher. That being said, if you're logging in as a teacher, you have access to different resources than you are logging in as a student. For instance, K-12 students don't have access to all the lesson plans because we're trying to give that resource specifically just to the teachers. Once we log in, now we go right to the Resource Center. We have all these blocks, and then we always have the menu off to the side here so it has easy access. Let's look at the EESOs first. That's our energy and savings opportunity. And we have some drop-down menus and some search keys to allow you to find these EES more simply. Our location, if you look, you can see everything from miscellaneous to front entrance. These are different locations within your facility. Kitchen, we have here, cafeteria, bathrooms. Let's just choose front entrance first off. And then by category, you can see we have everything from lighting, day lighting, lighting control, unoccupied operation, HVAC, domestic hot water, on and on, to try to make it easier for you to find maybe a more specific EESO. or you could type in lighting or something specific for it to search. Let's look at, first off, just front entrance in any category. And we submit. And now we get a listing of all kinds of different opportunities, from installing vestibule doors to closing vestibule doors. If there may be a table lamp or overhead lights, cleaning lenses, goes on and on and on. Adjust occupied temperature. As you can see, there's many, many different things. So let's go back and just pick one. Let's pick this one, closed vestibule doors. And when we look at that, now we see a breakdown of that specific EESO. And each one has a what, a why, and a how. So what is an explanation of what we're talking about with this EESO? The why is it important? And then the how is a description of how you might go about it. So in this particular case, we're talking about vestibule doors that are being left open. Why is that important? Well, this is where we reduce comfort problems from reducing drafts, or we lower energy consumption. And the how, we see we can develop a policy that vestibule doors are not left open, and we can have custodians, office personnel, students check the doors and close them if they're found open. So that's just one explanation of a simple EESO. Let's go back to our resources, and we could pick another one if we wanted to, but each one's going to be pretty close to that kind of information. We could pick, for instance, classrooms. And now let's look specifically at daylighting. Now we have just two. Daylighting savings with rewired fixtures for switching, or just daylighting savings. And now we click on that, and you can see again what, why, and how you would go about each one of those things. Let's move on. Let's look at video search. This is our Chalk Talk video, and we have general, lighting, daylighting, lighting control, same categories that we had in the ESOs. Let's just pick general. And now we have kitchen savings, gas versus electric comparison, gas cost variables, and portfolio manager. So there's many, many different little 10-minute videos. Let's pick gas versus electric comparisons as an example. You can see here we have a general review of what the video is going to be about. This is review of gas versus electric costs for making hot water. And we're also going to review the unit conversions. And usually here at the bottom we have some general information that the students can look at. In this case, 1 therm equals 100,000 BTUs, or what 1 kWh equals 4313 BTUs. Let's go ahead and click our video and listen to the first part of it just as an example. Let's spend a few minutes talking about the differences between gas and electric as far as its cost to convert into hot water. At the same time, we'll go over unit conversions and the math associated with that. All right, so the question would be, what is the cost per therm to heat with either electric or gas? You may ask, what's a therm? A therm is 100,000 BTUs, and it's just a term we use because BTUs is a very small unit, so they group 100,000 of those small units together and we call it a therm. Okay, here's our assumptions, and obviously if your gas or electric costs are different, you'd have a little bit different. The math would still be the same, but we're going to use the cost of gas at $9 an MCF, and our cost at 10 cents a kWh. And we're going to say that our gas heater is, okay, I'm going to stop there. You can kind of see the methodology. We go through an equation, and then we compare our electric cost at $2.93 a therm to gas at 90 cents, and then we talk about the losses associated with products of combustion. Then we go over and we look at the little diagram with the electric versus the gas, and then we talk about how the products of combustion go up the stack and some of the heat is go up the stack and not put into the water, so there's some efficiency losses. But this is an example. Each one's usually less than 10 minutes, and we go over a wide variety of topics. We put up at least one every week, and I think there's about 40 up there already. Let's move on to lesson plans. We have a search here as well. And the search is broken down by grade. We have K3, we have 4-6, we have 7-8, and 9-12, and then we have subjects. We have science, social studies, math, language arts, technology, and art. Let's start with K3 in the science area, and we submit. And now we get a list of all the different available lesson plans that fit that criteria. Let's just pick the top one up here, the green monster. This one is in K3. The subjects are science, social studies, and art. We click on that, and now we have the materials, what standards that it meets, the objectives, the introduction, the activities, extension, and closing. Let's just take a quick look at this one. All right, here's the materials needed for the class. Here's the various standards that it meets. We have science standards and social studies standards. We have the objectives for this particular lesson, an introduction to the lesson, the activity itself, the extensions, and the closing. Now, not every activity has the Ohio standards, but there's many that do. We could do the same thing for 9-12 in math, let's say. And now we have vending machine study, a computer power study, a vampire load study, a gym lighting study. As you can see, there's many studies associated with the 9-12. It's where they are able to capture data and analyze data. Here we have the classroom lighting study, same kind of thing with the breakdown of materials, objectives, environmental science, algebra, world history, what have you. Now let's look at the guides. Guides are broken down to high school, middle school, intermediate, and elementary school. And here's our green defender, which is the mascot for our K3. And our guides give us an introduction, frequently asked questions. Let's just quickly look at that. Here's our introduction, frequently asked questions, key learning concept, what's the value, teacher preparation, all the things needed to launch your program at that grade level. All right. So now let's look at problem-based learning. This happens to be the area probably we've gotten the most positive feedback. We have an introduction. We have some schools that are pretty far along with problem-based learning. Others are just getting started. So this is a general overview of what problem-based learning is. Then we have sample problems at the college level, the high school level, and the middle school level. Let's look at the high school first. Here we have 5 different problems, from developing a public relations campaign to shrinking carbon footprint, research skills, a green business strategy, or payback. Let's just take a quick look at the shrinking carbon footprint. Here we have, notice we can also download this into a PDF, but it's the background associated with the problem. And then we have all the necessary handouts. Let's start with the know, need to know, and then the ideas. Again, it has a PDF available to you. And here's our table of what we know, what we need to know in our ideas. We have our defining statement. We have the problem map with our causes, possible solutions, our obstacles, the consequences. We have a decision-making matrix. This is what our strategies are, the pros and cons and consequences of those. We have a grading matrix. This is just trying to suggest something such that teachers or teaching staff don't have to come up with it from scratch. And here we have, in a group's presentation, what's the content, what would be looking for to get the various grades, presentation skills, teamwork, how it fits, the solution fits. Then we have implementing the solution, and then a reflective response. Let's go back up to the top here. For those that haven't done a lot of problem-based learning, we also have guides for that at the college, high school, and middle school levels. And this is where it goes through in detail how to go about using problem-based learning in the classroom. From step 1, how to introduce the problem, the brainstorming, defining the problem statement, gathering information, sharing information, generating possible solutions, choose the solution, present the solution, implement the solution, and then reflect on the problem. So this gives you a step-by-step walk through how to do problem-based learning in the class. Now we have public relations, and here's the guides for that. We have it at college, high school, and K-12. This isn't public relations to the general public. It's public relations within the school or college themselves, where we have students trying to inform and encourage fellow students. Let's look at the high school. And here we have some ideas from establishing a green team to deciding on your sustainability goal, developing an action plan, and how to communicate the plan and evaluate. So if we click on Show All, you can see how this goes through in detail, how to develop a internal public relations program. All right, so that's a quick review. Also notice you can see here, and we'll talk a little bit more about it here at the end, but this is where you can get on the monthly newsletter. Just a matter of signing up your email address and subscribing. If we click here, you can see the one for October 2011, and the topic is what motivates us to conserve energy. If you sign up and subscribe, then you get it sent to you via email. You can also communicate very easily with us through Facebook and Twitter. Let's go back to the home page. I just want to cover one more topic. We have a student spotlight, and this is where students can upload videos that they may have been working on, pictures, blogs. We also spotlight specific school activities. And if we look here, let's hit our pictures. And we have them in different categories. One category is I want to go there. And this is where students can upload things that kind of highlight how or why doing environmental or energy savings is important to them. And you can see there's some really beautiful pictures there that they upload. We also have a category called How to Go Green the Right Way. And again, these are student uploaded pictures. You can see here we have maybe a college picture of some plastic glasses that are being rewashed versus being thrown out. We have somebody bicycling. We have the solar panel here on the mountaintop. We have these little hands that hold the transformer. A bunch of fun and silly things that students can upload and encourage each other to do. Here's a box of water. Let's look at another one here. we have another category called How Not to Be Sustainable. And this is actually where you could upload your own picture. And it has the solar-powered tanning experience, which is always kind of interesting. A bunch of silly pictures that the students can upload. We also have some things that are a little bit more serious. We have student blogs. Here's a blog. We have several. We publish them. We have some from college students. We have some from high school students. And your students can also upload those as well. And if it's in a month that we're doing a competition, the winning blog will win $500 for the school, and the other ones will be published so other people can read the blog in a more public forum. So that's the website. Let's go back over to some timeline things. As you can see, every other month we put on some type of webinar to support teaching staff. Then we also have contests on the opposite months, whether it's for a blog or a video, a picture, or a poster. And you can look at our website to get more details, but essentially each one of these things give students an opportunity to compete against each other and win $500 for their school. And lastly, we just wanted to show you how you can follow the Green Apple Project. And this is important because we're continually adding new resources and contests, and we also want to communicate what different schools are doing, whether they're having a green day or what have you. If you go to our website, you can click on the Facebook connection, the Twitter connection, and we also have YouTube videos open to the public. By clicking on those, you can then find out what the latest resources are, contests, and etc. Well, thank you for joining us today, and I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you again soon.